Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Who's your daddy? Yeah, baby. Who's your daddy? Yo, Gary, baby. Are you there? I am ready for you. I am ready, Gary, baby. What's up, man? What's up? Are you ready for some mind expansion, baby? Are you ready for it? Mind expansion. All right, then. Gary, MC squared. Okie dokie, buddy. Okie dokie. All right. Let's get ready. Let's get ready for some mind expansion experience. This is the Punk Monk Z show. That's right. Punk Monk Z. What an awesome name, huh? Punk Monk Z. That's right. Awesome. Excuse me. Peekaboo. You feel me? You feel my vibes? Oh, yeah. How's the music coming through? How's the music? Can you hear it? Can you hear the music? Gary, the music. Can you hear it? Can you hear the music? It's either a yes or a no, Gary. All right, sounds good. Okay, dokie. Okay, dokie. Let me see what I have here. Whoa, baby. All right. Now, here's our first position. Take a look at it. Here's our first position, Gary. Take a look at it. If I can somehow drop my queen. Whoa, I'm dropping in the wrong place. Excuse me, let me fix it. Let me fix it, Gary. Let me fix it. All right. Does it look all right here? Looks all right. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. If I can pick up my queen and somehow put it in the back rank, it'll be a checkmate. And the reason it'll be checkmate because the two kings are facing each other. So when two kings are facing each other, this is called direct opposition. They are separated by one square. Okay? So what does this mean? This means that the black king cannot come up. It cannot come up because the white king shuts down these three squares. Okay? So now if I can drop my queen in the back rank, it'll be a checkmate. Alright? So that's what's going on. And now the next question is how do we do it? How do we do it? Alright. So so we need to play checkmate in two moves. In two moves. Okay? Now I can play here. I can play here. Can I draw an arrow? Let me see. I can go here. And if I put my queen here, Gary, what do you think black does? Can you tell me? Can you tell me what is black's move? It's a no-brainer, buddy. Oh, I see. I see. Oh, you like queen to h7. Okay, that's what he likes. Just a minute. Okay, hold on. So Gary likes to move queen to h7. Okay, that's a good move. Is that a good move, Gary? Yes, it is. Okay, if the king goes here, you'll be able to do a kiss of death. And if the queen goes here and the king runs here, you can do another kiss of death here, or even you can entertain doing back rank mates. That is correct. That works. All right. So queen to h7 is a possibility, and the king here, then the kiss of death, baby. The kiss of death. And it's checkmate. All right. Now let's go back. Another possibility is queen to c2. And this way we shut down this line. Okay? We push the king in the corner, and then we create a triangle. Okay, triangle. If you connect the dots, if you connect those three dots, it forms a triangle. The triangle mate. Yeah, baby. Yeah. And what else can we do here? Let me take it back. We can also play this move. Queen to b. Now, if the king goes here or here, we can drop the queen on that square. And it's a back rank mate. So let's take a look. And that's it. That's it. Okay? The queen attacks the king. That's shut down. This square is shut down. And so is this one. And so is this one. And the king shuts down these two squares. And this is the mating box. Mating. Mating net, baby. It's a check and mate. All right, then. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's grab some more stuff that we can use. All right, now this is a little tricky. It's a little tricky move. Let's examine it a little bit. All right. Now, it is white to move here, Gary. It's white to move. And notice something? Notice something? Black has two threats. He's attacking the rook, and the queen is threatening to do checkmate because the kings are on opposition, and the king cannot flee because the black king shuts down these three squares. So this is a very, very serious threat with the queen. Okay? And the secondary threat is for the king, the black king, to eat the rook. Okay, to eat the rook. So now you understand the ordeal you're in, Gary. All right. So what do we do here? If you were white, Gary, what would you do? How do you stop this double attack? How do you stop it? Is there a way to put a stop to this? Well, the rook is under attack, and the a1 square is being threatened with a checkmate. All right? Yeah, so this is a threat and this is a threat, Gary. All right, so what do you think you have to do? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Any statements? Any declarations? Confessions? All right, let's take a look at it. The move we want is this move. And what does this do? Well, it stops the queen from giving checkmate, right? And it moves the rook from being taken on f4, right? Okay. Now you should recognize that this rook shuts down this square, and it can move up. It can move up to attack this rank. Okay. So let's just take away this line here, which we don't need it. If we can remove it. Okay. So here's the deal. Okay. This king here shuts down these three squares, right? So the black king cannot go forward. And when you play this check, okay, we attack the whole third rank, right? And the king has to go to the fourth rank. So now queen takes, we go checky wecky, and then we have x-ray. And you know how to win with the extra rook. All right, so let's take a look. So black is threatening the rook, and black is threatening the checkmate, attacking the king. So now that's a double attack. Double defense. Double defense. Okay? He saves the rook and stops the mate. Okay? And if queen takes rook, okay, these squares are shut down by the white king. And by playing this, we shut down the third rank. The king has to move to the fourth. We move the rook to the fourth, and then the queen drops. Now, is there anything else that black can do after we played this move? Okay, well, obviously now queen cannot take in view of what we saw. Okay, and now we're threatening this mate next move. That's a checkmate, yeah? We're threatening the checkmate. Rook. So this rook here on the fourth cuts the fourth rank, and the rook is going to the third and shut down the third, and the king cannot go forward. This is a checkmate. So now, if the queen comes here to stop the checkmate, you see that? Let's see what happens. So now, if the queen goes to c8 to stop this move, we do it anyway. Okay? And is this a checkmate, Gary? Is this a checkmate? Say yes or no. This is a checkmate, Gary, baby. This is a checkmate. Has black been checkmated? What do you see? Share with me. This is the Monk Z. Punk Monk Z show, baby. We're looking at pattern number 4. That means we had 1, 2, and 3 before. It's a checkmate. Are you sure, baby? Because now, you know what? Can we do this? No checkmate. No checkmate. But then the rook goes to the third rank, and then we do x-ray. And we win with the extra rook. Okay. And that's the way this works. Alright. Now, let's go easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay? Let's go easy peasy lemon squeezy. Alright. Now look at this. Black is attacking the bishop. And the rook and the queen lined up. They have a battery on the B line. So it seems that white is not stable on the B line. But the good news is it is white to play. Okay? And the bishop is shooting toward f7. So you know what? You know what? Can we play this move? And the queen is going to back up. The queen is going to be backed up by the bishop and was present to play checkmate. Okay? So what do you think of this idea? What do you think of this idea, Gary? You think this will work? You think this will swing, baby? All right, you say it will. But Gary, if I go here, what happens if this is done? Okay? If this is done. Okay? Now, my question is, are you worried you lost something? Are you worried you lost a bishop? And you're almost naked, Gary. You're almost naked, man. You have no toys, or very little toys. The king has no clothes, baby. What do you do here? All right, let's go back. And I want to illustrate something for you. Okay, by playing this move. Okay, now is this move a check? Is this move a check? No. Is this move a capture? No. Is this move a threat? Yes. Why is that threat? Because I have a check in 2 moves. Let's take a look. So this is move number 1, and check will be on the next turn. Move number 2. And now, when he plays this move, okay, we have a check. He must take. We have another check. And guess what? The bishop is pinning the pawn to the king. The pawn cannot take the queen. So the king has to move. And we checkmate on g7. Okay? So when we look at the power moves, this is a threat. This is a check. This is a check. And this is a check. Okay? So that the power move sequence was threat, check, check, and check. Okay? So a threat and 3 checks equals a mate. Okay? So if you remember, power moves are you ready, Gary? Put in your memory, okay? Go ahead, put in your memory. You ready? Write it down. Okay, here we go. Power moves are 3 type of moves, power moves, okay? I want you to remember this. When you're attacking the king, the first one is called a check. That's the strongest musketeer. So power moves, there are 3 of them, like 3 musketeers. 3 musketeers, 3 power moves, okay? The first musketeer is called D'Artagnan. Oh, excuse me. Got the story confused. Wait a minute. The first musketeer is called a check. The second musketeer is called a capture, and the third musketeer is called a threat. Okay? Those are the weapons you're going to use when you're attacking the king. When you're attacking the king and you're playing for checkmate, those are the 3 weapons you're thinking. Check, capture, and threat. So what is a check? A check is attack on the king. What is a capture? Well, you take something. And what is a threat? A threat is a check in 2, or a threat is a capture in 2. CCT, baby. CCT, that's correct. Okay? So you're using CCT when you're playing for mate. All right? So let's look at this. So what is this? Let's go back and see what letters this is. So this is a T, this is a C, this is a C, and this is a C. Okay? And all these moves, this whole sequence is composed of power moves. Only power moves. Okay? That's why it works. It's the most forcing way to play. So if there's a checkmate, you'll find it by using the power move method. All right. Very nice. Okay, very nice. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this is easy peasy, and it's lemon and it's squeezy. When you have lemon, make lemonade, baby. All right. So this is supposed to be like a mate in 2 moves. This is supposed to be like a mate in 2 moves. Okay? Well, first thing you have to do, you have to make sure that 2 kings are facing each other. And by playing this move here, you force this move, and the 2 kings are facing each other. This is called direct opposition. So this is the first step towards mate. Create direct opposition. Okay? And then when you have done that, you can give a checkmate. And this is a backrack mate. Okay? You see that? You see that, Jelly Bean? You see it? Okay? Do you see it? All right. All right. So that was pretty easy, right, Gary? All right. Let's move on and find something else to snack on. All right. Now, this is a fun one. In the last stream, number 3, we did exercises with king, bishop, and knight versus king. So this is an extension of that. And if you don't know what to do in this position, you should go back to patterns number 3, review it, and you'll learn a lot how to play king, bishop, and knight versus king. Okay? Now the first thing you should know is that black is in the correct corner, in a white corner. Why is that the correct corner? Because we have a white square bishop, and a white square bishop matches the corner on A8. Okay, the white corner. So that's a precondition for mate. Okay? And another thing you should know is that the king on b6 is an ideal position to deliver mate. Okay? That's lesson 2. And then when the king moves, we need to shut down the escape. Okay? Because the black king wants to escape. You see? Oh, sorry, that's not what I want. He wants to escape and run to the center for safety, because the king is safe in the center. And if somehow the king is forced to the edge of the board, he's going to run through the dark squares. Okay? That's where it's going to be safe. That's a safe corner. Okay? The unsafe corner are the white squares. Unsafe corners are the white squares because you have a white square bishop. That's the killing corner. Okay? So that's the plan. So what happens here? The king wants to escape, so you shut down this diagonal, and now he cannot go there. And now when the king is forced to the corner, what do you do? Now, so the king is in an ideal position, And the black king is in a cage, right? It only has 2 squares to move to, back and forth, here and back and forth. That's it. Okay? The king is in a small cage. Now, what you need to know is that the knight should be on a6 and the bishop should be on c6. So the story here, knight on the left of the king and bishop on the right of the king. Okay? That's a basic pattern. Knight on the left, bishop on the right. The knight is the sword, the bishop is the spear. Okay? Like in the movie Troy, baby. The sword and the spear. That's right. That's right. Okay. So now the next move is what? This is the next move. Why is that? Why is that? Okay. It wants to reach this point. So maybe it can do it by going here, then going here, and then going here. Okay. So let's see if this happens. So here. Okay, I didn't do it right. Let's see why not. Oh, that's even better. We're gonna reach a6 in this way. And now he's forced to go there, and now we go bishop on a diagonal. It's mate. Notice knight on the left, bishop on the right. Okay, so let me go back and see if this way works too. Okay, so here. Now, what did I say? I can go here. He goes here. I said I can go here. He goes here. Okay, now I have to make a waiting move. Let's say here, and when he moves over, oh boy, I have to make another waiting move. Let me see. I have to make another waiting move. Wait a minute, how do I do it? Here, and then if he goes here, no, that's not the waiting move. I have to go here on this diagonal, and when he steps over, then we can play the check, knight on the left, and then he moves over, which is forced. You can put the bishop on the right of the king, it's mate. Okay? So either way, okay? And the most important thing is to know where the pieces go. So the ideal position for the king is on both b6, knight on the left, and bishop on the right. Okay? And now the question is, how do you get excuse me. So let's say after this move, shuts down this square, and now how do you get your knight to a6? How do you get the knight to a6? Okay, so this is one way, right? And here it is, and now we go to a6, check, and a mate. Okay, knight on the left, bishop on the right, and the king is an ideal square, d6, because the king from d6 shuts down this square and that square. Knight shuts down this square, and the bishop shuts down the white squares on the diagonal. Okay, you see that? All right, so that's the way it works. All right, let me see what's going on here. Let me see what's going on. All right. Now, let's move on, baby. Let's move on. All right. Let's take a look at this position and see how this works. All right, so this is the position. And this is how to give a checkmate with a bishop and a knight. How to give a checkmate with a bishop and a knight. Okay, so the bishop. Okay, let me correct this again. All right, so the bishop is looking at the king in the corner. Okay, and this bishop will always control these 2 squares. Okay. And the king is going to move. When the knight moves, the king is going to move to the g8 square, and then we need to shut down the white squares. Okay. So how does this work? Let me show you. So by playing this move, we attack the king in the corner, and escape square is covered. So when the king goes to run out this way, we shut down both of these squares by playing knight to h6, and this is checkmate. Why is it checkmate? The knight attacks the white squares, and the bishop shuts down the dark squares. And these 2 squares are shut down because they are occupied. So all the squares around the king are shut down, they're closed, and the king is under attack. This is mate. So there's one more point, Gary, I want to make here. And what is that point? That in the final position, the bishop and the knight must stand on the same color squares. Now, why is that important? That is important because when the bishop and knight are on the same color squares, they attack in different color. So bishop is attacking in dark squares, and the knight is attacking the dark squares. You see that? And together, they cover in both colors, and thus it is checkmate. Okay? All right. All right. So keep these points in mind and store it in memory. Okay? So one way to collect information is to go through a question and answer process. Question and answer. Ask yourself questions, and then you answer your own questions. And you continue with this repetition. Okay? And you collect verbal ideas, you collect them, and then you look at calculation. You have now visual ideas, and then you reach a point of clarity where your mind understands what's going on, and the solution comes after that. Okay, so just keep collecting information. All right, now look at this position. Is this the position I want? Okay, so this is the position to start with. And the king cannot run. The king cannot run because the knight is obstructing the path of the king. All right, so the king then only has two squares, this one and this one, to move to. Back and forth, back and forth. This one and this one, back and forth. All right, so let's see how this works. Okay, now we're looking for what kind of moves, Gary? We're looking for power moves. And what is the strongest power move, Gary? Can you tell me? Gary, he's our man. If he can't do it, nobody can. Yeah, Gary. All right. So what is the strongest power move, Gary? There are three types. Three musketeers. Which one's the top musketeer, baby? What's his name? What is the weapon? What is the strongest power move? Rook to g7. That's the correct move. But the name of the move is called a check, by the way. The name of the power move that's the strongest is called a check. Okay? So here we go. Here we go. It's called a check. So let's see how this works. Yes. So it's a power move called a check. And then when he moves, now, what is our next power move, Gary? What is our next power move? Is it check? Is it a capture? Or is it a threat? Which one do you want to play, and why? Okay, always start with the top, the strongest move, the strongest power move. If it doesn't work, then go down a notch to the next one. Okay, so what's the next one, Gary? Tell me. So we start with a check on move number 1, and move number 2, which one do we pick? Do we pick a check, or a capture, or a threat? Which one do we choose? Okay, write down your choice. And your choices are 3. A, check. B, capture. And C, threat. Do you choose A, B, or C, Gary? Tell me. Oh, you choose C, capture. So let's take a look. There's only one capture here. There's only one capture. And you know what? Why can the king take here? And you can't win the game. You had an extra rook, now you have nothing. So capture is the wrong. You're supposed to look, Gary. Now pay attention, Gary. Capture is the second musketeer in strength. The top musketeer is called a check. The second one is called a capture. Third is called a threat. So you have to go according to strength, from top to bottom. Okay, so whenever it's your move to make, you have to start with the strongest musketeer, and that's always the check. If that doesn't work, then you can look at capture musketeer. If that doesn't work, then you look for a threat musketeer. Okay? All right? So let's go back to our position. Let's go back to our position, and this is our position. All right? Here we go. So we play check, and the king moves in the corner. Now, Gary, is it A, B, or C, baby? Which one do you pick? Do you pick A, B, or C? A is a check, B is a capture, and C is a threat. Okay? I'll give you 20 seconds, baby. 20 seconds. Oh, yeah. Okay, so he says a threat. Okay, what moves the threat here? What moves the threat? Actually, you don't have a threat in this position. Well, do you? No, you don't. You don't have a threat in this position. Okay, where's the threat? Well, I guess you can have a threat by moving the bishop. By moving the bishop, it could be a threat. Okay, but then eventually you have to move the knight. Okay, so I guess you can do this. Okay, that's moving a bishop, that's a threat, and when the knight moves, then you can execute the check. Okay, but you don't need to do that. So threat does work. Okay, threat does work. But in this position, after check, he goes here. Your next move is a new check, and now the bishop checks and mates. Okay, so in this position, it is a check and a check equals mate. So two checks equal mate. So it was a CC, check, check. Okay, but for funny reason, the threat works also. I move here. Okay, that's a preparation. Okay, excuse me. I can move check here, and when you go here, I can make a threatening move like this, for example. I'm preparing the check on the next turn. So it doesn't matter what he does. Oh, it does matter what he does. He goes here, he's going to take my bishop. So I need to move the bishop to a square where he can't reach it. Okay, so maybe I can play this. So this is a good move. Okay, this is a threat. Because it doesn't matter. No, this doesn't work either. You can play this. Oh, attack my bishop. So hold on. So maybe I can play this move. Okay, so after the check, he goes here. If I'm going to use a threat as a move, I have to play this. And I think this works. Okay? Because it doesn't matter if he moves here or here. I can just slide the rook on g6 and it's a checkmate. Okay? All right. So if we look at this, it's going to take us how many moves to mate? So we make a threat move and he moves and it's mate on 2. All right? But in this position, after check, he moves here, it's a mate on the next turn. So this is much faster. Okay? Okay. Yeah. All right, Gary, baby. After we're done here, okay, after we're done with all these lessons, okay, when you go to the chess club, okay, you're gonna say, oh, look, there's Gary. Okay, be careful, he's a good player. Okay, be careful, he's a good player. You know what I'm saying? All right, now let's move on. Let's move on and let's get some more snacks, Gary. So, and in these exercises, Gary, I just want to show you how to trap pieces. Okay, when the knight is in a corner, the white king dominates the knight, dominates it. And the reason that white king dominates the knight because the knight is weak. The knight is weak here because it cannot escape. It cannot escape because in both instances the king can eat. And if the knight doesn't move, the king is going to enter b7 and pick up the knight. Okay, so this is called domination. Domination. Okay, the king dominates the knight. So this is a pattern you should remember. If the knight in the corner, the king can trap it like this. Domination. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we can have here. Okay. Let's see this one. All right. Are you looking at this one? Are you looking at this one? So this is a relationship between the rook and the knight. And I want to show you how the rook can dominate the knight. How the rook can dominate the knight. I'm going to show you. Okay? What will I show you? I will show you how the rook can dominate the knight. Because the knight is a weak piece and the rook is a strong piece. And the rook can go to a key square to shut down the knight. So it's paralyzed. It's frozen. Let's see how this works. Okay? Now let's take a look where the knight can go to. The knight can go here and here. right? The knight can go here and here, right? So the knight can go to 4 squares, okay? Gary, is that correct? Okay, Gary, your choices are yes or no. It's very binary, Gary. Yes or no. Okay? The squares that are marked in red, that's where the knight potentially can move to. Is that correct? Yes, thank you, Gary. Good answer. Correcto mundo. All right then. So, if the rook moves on the diagonal from the knight, separated by 1 square, you see that? Okay, it's separated by 1 square. Okay, you see that? The escape squares here, 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 and here are shut down. Okay, you see that? So the rook is dominating the knight. Okay, the knight is trapped. Okay, and the rook is the king. All right, you see that? And then you can add another piece, maybe a king, and the king can walk, let's say, through here, and then here, or here, and pick up the knight, because the knight has nowhere to run to because of the rook. So what's the lesson here, Gary? What's the lesson? The lesson is this. How does the rook dominate the knight? You move the rook on a diagonal. You move the rook a diagonal from the knight, separated by 1 square, and that shuts down the escape squares. And here there's the potential squares that knight can go to. Here, 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 and here. Okay? And by going to this square here, which is 1 square on a diagonal away from the knight, okay? You see that? The knight is trapped. The rook dominates. Okay. Do you understand what I just did, Gary? Do you understand what I'm saying? There you go. And do you know why you go rook to d4? Do you know why? Do you know why that's a good move? Okay. Oh, we have another visitor here. Wow. 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 Fighter what? Fan 1. Oh, very nice. Welcome to my chat. This is a Punk Monk Z show, baby. We're here to discover the secrets of the game by doing mind expansion exercises. Mind expansion. So if this is your first time, you know what you have to do. Push the follow button, baby. Follow the Punk Monk. That's where the action is. That's the place to be, man. Right on. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Now, here we go. Here we go. Close your eyes. Don't look. All right. So here's the position. Here's the position. Look at it, but don't overlook it. Look at it, but don't overlook it. All right, here we go. So look where the knight is. Let's take a look at the knight. And the knight can go here potentially, and here and here. Okay, so those are the moves of the knight. Okay, that's the potential of the knight from this position. Okay, but guess what? The knight is a weak piece. Why? Because the bishop can move to a key square and shut down those squares where potentially the knight can go to. So the bishop dominates the knight. So who can tell me, please, my dear audience, who can tell me, please, in this position, yes, in this position, what is the move for white? To dominate the knight. The bishop wants to do domination. Where does the bishop go to dominate? Easy peasy, baby. Lemon squeezy. Look at him go. The fighter knows it. All right, so let's take a look. Yes, so the bishop goes to where? Goes here. And from here, the knight has these potential squares to move to. And guess what? The bishop slices to those squares. And now the knight is frozen. He can't move. It's a statue. So now if you have a king from somewhere, he can sneak in, and pick up the knight. Okay, because the bishop dominates. Oh, top of the pyramid, Gary. How do you know that word? Top of the pyramid. How do you know that? Well, thank you very much. Yeah. This is what I do. This is what I do lately. I try to humiliate myself a little bit for your entertainment. For your entertainment, baby. Okay, that's how special you are. Bell Cream 5000. Bell, it's ball. Ball Cream 5000. Right on. But not only is it fun channel 5000, how informative it is, how useful is it? That's the real question. Okay? You see, that's the point. It's not just to be entertaining. There has to be content. Okay? Content. Content. All right. So, here we go. Here we go. What else can I find? Oh, by the way, ball cream. Follow my channel, baby. Press the heart button. Okay? Don't be shy. Give it a try. Don't run away. Stay and play. Help the punk and the monk. Have a nice day. Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. So what's next? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. What is this about? Okay, I'll skip this one. This needs more explaining. So that's this one. All right, so now let's move on to the next page and see what we can find here. Okay, so this is so easy, man. This is so easy. I love it. I love it. Okay. Now, you know what? If I played 4-player chess, I'll be confused. So I don't blame you. I don't blame you, man. But you know what? Both games have the same thing, right? You have the same rules for movement, right? The pieces move the same way, and you have the same value, right? Yeah, that's correct. Actually, it's not a. Oh, I see. It is a double check. Okay, right. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Yeah, yeah. It seems like 4-player chess is. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. So I don't know much about it for one thing, and if I compare it to like 2 players playing, it seems. I mean, how does it work? I mean, do 2 sides make alliances, or are there 4 sides and they're fighting everybody like 1 against 3, or can well, what's going on? How does this work? I don't know. Oh, there's a website for this. Okay. Well, you know what? I know chess.com, I think, has those games, uh, 4-player games. Okay. Um, but yeah, I know. I always thought it was confusing, and I never really investigated it because I'm still trying to learn the 2-player approach. And yeah, so there you go. All right, so let's look at this. So this has to do with double check. Double check. And double check happens on one particular square. Can you tell me what the name of the square is? Double check happens on one particular square. So when white moves, both pieces are both pieces are attacking the same square. Okay, so you don't know how to. Okay, so yeah, so the way it works this way. The way it works is this: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. From white's point of view, then we have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have horizontally we have the letters, and vertically we have the numbers. Okay, A through H horizontally and 1 to 8 vertically. Okay, so for example, this square is E4, here's E, and number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's here, right? Okay, this square is H8, this is the H line, and number 8. Okay, this here is the G line, this is number 6, this is number 5, this is number 4. Okay, something like this, okay? All right, so if you play a move like this, for example, the bishop will attack the d8 square, and the rook will also attack the d8 square. Okay, so d8 will be attacked by both pieces. So that's our first move. Okay, and there's only one options for black is to move over, and then we have something like this. Okay, now who can tell me? Who can tell me? Who can tell me if they know the name of this pattern of checkmate with a rook and a bishop? I can give you a little hint, and this is in a famous game, 1858, Paul Murphy versus the Duke and the Count. And what is the name of the mate? And the name of the mate was the place where they played the game at, and whatever the name of the place is, and the mating pattern is called after that place. So who knows what it is? Yes, well, opera, baby. How'd you know, Gary? How'd you know? Who told you? Did you Google it? All right, that is correcto. All right, so let's go to another pattern. Okay, simple, but it's here. Let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at this pattern, and here's the position. Okay, so in this situation, it is rook and knight versus the rest of the black position, and the rook and knight are going to converge on a particular square, and a piece is going to land that gives a check on that square where the two pieces converge. Okay, so any thoughts? Any thoughts how to do this? How do we do this, people? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, baby. You can do it. I know you can. I believe in you, baby. Anyway. All right then. I'll give you 20 seconds. What is the name of the square where the white two pieces, the two pieces for white, what square do they converge on? So white is going to move, and both white pieces will strike at one particular square. What is the name of the square? I don't see answers, so I think it's up to me to do it, baby. So by playing this move here, this is a double check. The knight strikes on d8, and so does the rook, and so does the knight. Okay, so now when the king moves, okay, one of the pieces, either the rook or the knight, have to occupy the intersection point, and the piece that should occupy it is the piece that gives check, and it has to be the rook and its mate. Because now let's look at this. So e8 is shut down because the rook shuts it down. d8 shut down because the knight is holding that square. And this square here is shut down by the knight. This square is shut down by the rook. This square is shut down by the rook, and this square is shut down by being occupied by friendly fire. So all the squares around the black king are shut down. They are closed. Shut down means they're closed, and the king is under attack. So this is check and mate, baby. Check and mate. All right, let's see what else we can find here. for our mind expansion thing. Now, this one is very important, I think, to know. Okay? And I want you to look at this one and spend a little time on this one, and we can chat. And this is a very important trick to know. Okay? So we have two pieces, the queen and bishop, and they're attacking the black king. And now, according to the power move method, okay, what should white be thinking about? Anybody? According to the power moves, what should white be thinking about? And the simple answer is, do I have checks, right? Do I have checks? That is what white should be thinking out, because the strongest musketeer is the check musketeer. Now, it might not work, but you have to go through that sequence unless you know the pattern and you can just play it. But if you don't know, you have to use the power move method. And the top contender in the power move method is the checks. So what do we do? Any thoughts? Okay. Do you have any thoughts here? Anybody? Well, do you think it's a, well, we have two checks here, right? We have a queen check and we have a bishop check, right? Okay. I mean, this check on f7 makes no sense, so I won't put it in the list. Okay. But we have the check with the queen and the bishop. Now, the rule of thumb I gave before, if you have a choice between two checks, you should use the smaller piece, okay, to investigate the position first. Okay. So if I follow that rule and I play check, the king is going to run. I'm going to play check, and the king is going to run. Okay, and the king escapes. So that kind of invalidates the rule in this position of attacking with a stronger piece. Now, if I attack with the lesser piece with a check, the king is going to run, or it can even run here. Okay, and that's it. So it seems by looking at checks, okay, those two checks, it doesn't work. Okay, so what is left? Okay, how about captures? Is the next one. Okay, capture is the next level. Okay, so do we have captures here? Well, this is not a capture because I classified this as a check. Okay, so, and this is not a capture, I classified as a check. Okay, okay, so we don't have any captures. So now we have to look at threats. Okay, that's the last thing we have to look at. And you're right, Gary, threat is the one we looked at. So what move creates a threat? Can you tell me, Gary? Well, I think in all these lines, the reason the checks did not work, you know why the checks didn't work? Because when we played checks, the king ran away, okay? So what we have to do, we have to confine the king to the corner, okay? We have to make sure the king cannot run, okay? It's like Castor's last stand. We have to encircle the king so it doesn't run. So what do you think the move is? So before we hit him, we have to make sure, that's right, before we hit him with a check, we have to make sure he can run away. So the correct move is, yes, this. And what this does, it prepares the check on the next move and prevents the king from running. You see that? Okay. So now, black has no choice in this position than to move here. And now, you should know what the answer now is. So what is the answer here? What's the next move? It's an easy peasy answer, man. It's an easy answer. Talk to me, baby. You can't find the answer in this position, dude? Of course. Okay, then the next move is checkmate. Okay, and also you have this checkmate here on f8. Okay, so using the power move method, this is a T, and this is a C. Okay, TC, baby, equals power move in this position. So we make a threat, okay, and then we have a check, and it's mate. Okay, so we use the power move method, and we found the answer. That's right. That is right. Okay, pretty sweet. All right, now let's take a look at this one. Let's take a look at this one, and let's make sense of this one, okay? Now, this is also a very important thing to know, people. This is so important to know, okay? And you're going to learn it today, okay? How to do this. I'm going to explain the details in a second. I'm going to give you a chance to look at it and share with me your thoughts, okay? Then I'll share my thoughts with you, what I think is important. All right, take a look. I'll give you guys a little time and come back to me with some thoughts. Do you see the diagram, people? Do you see the diagram? Do you see it? Your choices are yes or no. Okay? Oh, I like this movement. Oh, I'm making a figure 8. Figure 8. Oh, that's so soothing. Oh, yeah. I'm dizzy. Okay, I'll stop. All right, let's take a look at it. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so you're gonna start with the check, right? Okay, Gary, so you play queen takes h6 check. What does black do? What does black do? And the reason I'm asking, if you do miss the answer, okay, you're gonna learn something very important by me asking you these questions. Okay? Just trust me. Just trust me, okay? Okay, so bishop takes h7 check. What does black do? After white plays bishop takes h7, so let me show you. Okay, when black plays this check, what is the black king gonna do? He's under attack. Okay, very good. So the king has to go here to h8. That is correct. Now guess what? Now I'm gonna talk and you just listen, okay? And at the end I'm gonna ask you a question, and you just say yes or no, and that's that. Okay? So let me show you what's going on here. Okay, so now when we play check and the king goes in the corner, the king is frozen. The king has no moves, right? Now here's the lesson, Gary. Your bishop is going to form a triangle, and this triangle is going to enable the queen to give checkmate. Okay, did you get what I said? Yes or no? All right, so let me show you how the bishop forms a triangle. The bishop is going to go to g6. Okay, now the queen is attacking the king. Okay, but at the moment that is not important. I want to show you what I mean by the triangle. Okay, the bishop forms a triangle because it attacks h7 and the bishop attacks f7. Now, so look at this. I'm going to connect the dots here. I'm going to connect the dots here. I'm going to connect the dots here. Okay, now, Gary, baby, do you see the triangle? Do you see the triangle, Gary? Yes or no? Oh, good, 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 good. Okay, okay, now I'll go on. Okay, now, so this is the apex, the top of the triangle, the top of the pyramid, and this line here, across here is the base. You see? This is the base. This is the base right here, okay? Now the queen is going to travel on the base of the pyramid, okay? So now, when check, he moves, and now the queen goes to h7. That's one of the corners of the base, and goes to the second corner of the base. Okay, so let me recap this quickly, okay? So, check goes in the corner, the bishop forms a triangle, okay? Triangle, the bishop forms a triangle, okay? And the white queen travels to the base of the triangle, check and checkmate, okay? All right, so that's the lesson. That's the lesson. How to mate with a queen and bishop if the bishop leads the attack, okay? Instead of the queen. It's a very important tactical finesse, okay? In terms of pattern recognition, okay? Do you understand me, baby? All right, good. So let me ask you a question. Do you think you learned something from that example? Your choices are yes or no, Gary. All right, great. Now, this next example is an endgame example. It's a pattern about a race between the king and the pawn. It's a race between the king and the pawn. So let me just show you very quickly what I mean. The pawn is running here. If it reaches a8, it promotes to a queen. And if the queen promotes safely, white is going to win. Okay? Now, if the king is able to catch the pawn, it'll be a draw. Okay? Do we agree on that point? Yes or no? Let's say we agree on the point. Okay? And now, let me show you more. Let me show you more. Okay. So this is called the rule of the square. Rule of the square. And rule of the square is supposed to tell you what the result is in the race between the pawn and the king. Okay? Now, let me draw the square to you, and then I'll go from there. Now, this is, so a square has four corners, okay? So if I draw a line on a diagonal to here, okay, this is corner 1, and this is corner 2, okay? And now if I move all the way, okay, so I'm going to draw a line from here to here, and then from here to here, and I'm going to connect here, okay? So we have a triangle here. We have a triangle here, but we need a square. So what I'm going to do is, this is corner 1, this is corner 2, and this is corner 3. So we need one more corner to be a square, and the other corner is this. So we can connect all the corners together, and we have a square. Okay? Do you see how we did this, Gary? Do you see how we did it? Now, here's a trick. Here's a trick. If the black king is outside the square, the black king loses. If the black king is inside the square, it will be a draw because the black king will catch the pawn. Okay? So do you understand that point? Do you understand that point? Okay, you do. All right. So here's my question. Here's my question. In this position right here, if it's white to move, what is the result? That's my question. If it's white to move, what is the result? So the question is, if it's white to move, what is the result? Of course. And now yes, you're right. So here's the square. Okay, so let me make a square, if I can, use these arrows. Yeah, here. Okay, so I draw a line, and now I'm gonna go all the way back here and meet this corner here, and we have a triangle, and now I'm gonna complete the square, and here it is. So here are the four corners of the square. Okay, and the black king is outside the square. For the black king to be inside the square, he has to reach this point. Now it's inside. Okay, this is inside, this is inside, this is inside, this is inside. Okay, this is inside, 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 inside. Got it? That's inside. So right now the blocking is outside and it's white to play. That's it. It's over. And there's no way to catch it. There it is. Okay? All right? Okay. But in this position, let me draw it again. Here's the square. If it's black to move, he's inside the square and he's going to be able to catch the pawn. Okay? He's going to be able to catch the pawn. And he's going to move on the diagonal and pick it up. Okay? And that's it. Okay? So what we're doing here, we're using geometry. We're using geometry by creating a visual representation of the problem. Okay? Instead of counting or whatever else method you want to use, you use geometry, which is more efficient and more accurate. Okay? And that's called the ruler square. And the ruler square is a shortcut to calculation. You don't need to calculate, you need to have a visual representation. Okay, what's going on by understanding the rules and knowing how to draw the square. And that's all you need. Okay? So very nice. All right, then. Let's move on. Let's move on to something else. Let me see what else I can find here for your used baby. Oh yeah, let's look at this one. Yes. Okay, so I did this one again, Gary, just to show you something. Okay? Now, this is the same position as before, but it was white to move. Okay? Now my question is, in this position, it is black to move, and my question is to you, Gary, from Punk Monk Z, which is me. Okay? My question is, okay, it's black to move, what is the result? Okay, Kaptal. Okay, Kaptal is wrong and Gary is right. Okay, Kaptal is wrong and Gary. Well, wait. No, What is the result, Kaptal? If it's black to move, what is the result? That's my question. Okay, is it a draw or does white win? That's the question. And you have to use geometry, okay, to figure this out. All right, so let's look at this. So here's the corner, and we draw a line on a diagonal. This is the second corner. We draw a line to the pawn, and that's the third corner. We connect this, we have a triangle. And then we continue to draw the square. Here's the last corner, and we connect all of this. Let me do it again, and make a contact here. So here's the square. The square has four corners. Okay. Now, and if you remember, if it's black to move, right now, in this position, black is outside the square. But with black to move, he can move inside the square. Okay, right now, black king is outside the square. But with black to move, he can move inside the square. And if the king is inside the square, he catches the pawn. Therefore, it's a draw. So let's take a look if this is true. Okay, there, he's inside the square. Now let's see if that's true. Yes, it's true. All right. Blocking is inside square. And now you're able to win the pawn. And here we go. And there it is. Draw. Okay. All right. So did you see that, guys? The rule of the square. It's a shortcut to calculation. You don't need to calculate. Okay, you just use a little geometry, visual representation, and that will solve the problem. No calculation, no counting, okay? Just simple geometry. All right, very nice. Very, very nice, I said. All right, let's see what else I can pull up for you guys. Okay, let's see what else. What is this about? Okay, I'm gonna skip this one. I'm gonna skip this one. Okay, I like this one a lot, and that's why I'm gonna put it up. It's a little complex, okay, but let's look at it because I think it's fun. Okay, look at this position, get familiar with this position, and it's white to play. It's white to move, get familiar. And by the way, black is threatening checkmate on the next, immediately. All right, so black is threatening checkmate immediately. All right, so you're playing white, and now the question is what to do. Okay, so spend a little time on this one. I found this very entertaining and very educational for some reason. Okay. Okay, try to give me your thoughts. What do you think of this? Is it possible for white to win here? Because black has much more material. So if white doesn't give checkmate, white is busted. Okay, because black has a lot of material. Okay, so how does white do this? How does white do this? Okay, do you want a hint? Do you want a hint? Talk to me. If you want a hint, type hint. Okay, buddy. All right, so let me finish this and give you the answer. So this is what I want to do. If white could somehow play check and then bring the queen to g7, that'll be checkmate, yes? So that's the key. That's the key of doing this. Okay, so now give you a big key. Okay, what we need to do. Okay, but the problem is this rook is in the way. This rook is in the way. Okay, so white wants to play rook takes h7, and then he wants to play queen to g7. He wants to move the queen from g1 to g7 after he sacks the rook to vacate the square g7 for the queen. But the rook on g5 is in the way. Okay, in the meantime, black is threatening checkmate. So that's the issue here. Okay, so do we have another speaker here? Gary's leaving. Do we have another speaker to take his place? Headbanger baby, are you there? Yo, Cap Town. All right. So, Cap Town, do you have any ideas what to do here? You know what white wants to do, and you know what black wants to do. So, how can we derail black so we can play rook takes h7 and queen to g7 checkmate? That's my question. So the question is what? The question is, the rook is in the way. The rook is in the way of the queen, and the queen wants to be able to reach the g7 square, but the rook is in the way. If the rook was not in the way, then it will be easy for white to win. He will play rook takes h7 check, and the queen will go to the empty g7 square for mate, because the pawn on h6 will protect the queen. Okay? but the rook is in the way, and the queen is threatening mate on c2. Okay, so those are the issues here. Any thoughts? Well, I'll tell you. Okay, are you ready? The first move is this. So what's going on here? Now there's no rook in front of the queen, and the queen can see the rook on g7, and the rook wants to play on h7, and the queen is going to go to g7. To g7, you see that? So that's the idea. Now why the rook go there? Because basically it cuts off the rook from the queen, and the queen cannot play this move to checkmate because basically it is not being protected by the rook on c8, because the rook on c5 cuts off the two black pieces. So now they cut off from each other, and the queen cannot execute a threat. Queen takes c2. So now when it takes here and says, you know, now black has two threats. Let's trade. In the end game, black is winning, and the queen is also threatening checkmate. Okay, but guess what? There's nothing between these on this line. There's nothing between here. Okay, the path is clear for the queen to reach these g7. So now we play rook takes h7 check and mate. So anyway, I found this very interesting, you know, when I looked at this, and yeah, so I spent a little time thinking about this, and I really like it. Okay, because there's some, you know, there's some yeah, so there's some yeah, I know there's some complexity, but not very much when you understand the basics. Okay, then everything fits into place and it's simple. Okay, so you have to turn the complex into simple. Okay, complex into simple. Now let me see what else I'm going to do before I shut down. Let me see. Okay, so tell you what, guys. I'm going to do two more and we'll call it a night. How's that? Two more and we'll call it a night. All right, so here we go. This is the position. So this is the position. And what do you see? What do you see in this position? Who do you like? And why do you like what you like? And it's white to move. You like white or do you like black? Well, white is -1, right? White is -1 because black has 3 pawns on the queen side and white has only 2 pawns on the queen side, and structure is also better for black. So material and structure favors black. But on the other hand, okay, this is not functional, and the king is exposed. So the king is unsafe and the rook's not functional. So what does that mean? So basically you can argue the point, if we're -1, because we're down a pawn, we can argue that the rook is out of the game, so it might as well be off the board. So basically we're +5 and we minus a pawn, we can make an argument that we're +4. Okay, in this kind of convoluted logic, it doesn't kind of make sense. Okay, and it's our move, and being on the move is a power in itself. All right, so now here's my question. If you were playing white, okay, so there's a possible back rank mate. Okay, that's a good observation, but how do you do it? That's the question. Okay, so you have an idea. Okay, so you have an end in mind. Okay, do you have the means to execute it? And to have the means, you have to give me concrete moves. Okay, so what are the moves? What are the moves? All right, so okay, so according to our power move method, okay, All right. So, okay. So you already have an idea. Queen to e7. So Kaptal says queen to e7. Okay. But the proper procedure, okay, to do this is to, so queen to e7 is a check. So Kaptal is looking for a check. So basically, he's doing the right thing. What he's not doing is not identifying all the checks. So how many checks do we have? We have one check, we have two checks, and we have three checks. That's it. We have three checks. Okay? So, Kaptal, the first thing you should do is identify and make a list of all the checks. That's your first step. That's your first step. Okay? Now, let's look at them. Okay? Now, if you don't know what the correct move is, then you find the moves that are garbage moves that don't work. And I'm going to do that and find garbage moves because I can eliminate those moves and make my choices smaller. Okay? So I'm trimming the tree, so I'm trimming the choices. Okay? And most likely, the last candidate to stand is probably the candidate that's going to work. So let's take a look. So if I play queen to d8 check, the rook is going to eat it. And that's silly, okay? So it doesn't work, okay? And now, if I look at the second candidate, queen to e7 check, the king moves, and then I play a rook queen check, and the king escapes, okay? And everything is protected, looks like it, and there's no more checks, and black has a material advantage. So it doesn't work. You see that? It doesn't work. So what does work here? Now, did we cover all the checks? No, there's one more check left. So let's take a look what it is. The last check is this move, rook to e8. Now notice, now the king has no choice than to eat the rook, right? But when he eats the rook, then we can play queen to e7 checkmate because the king cannot run away. Okay? So what does this teach you? What does this teach you? It teaches you to organize your thinking. It teaches you to organize your thinking, okay? When it comes to power moves, you have to organize your thinking, okay? If you're looking at the check selection, you have to list all the checks. And why do you have to list all the checks? Because you don't want to miss anything, okay? If you don't make all the check, if you don't list all the checks, then the one you miss maybe might be the one that's the one that's going to work because the one that you have listed will not work. So you have to make sure you list them all. So let's say if you have three candidates, two of them don't work, but the third one works. But if you don't list the third one, you only look at the second one or on the other two, that means those two won't work and you miss the one that will work. So you have to list all of them before you do any calculation. Okay, you understand, Kaptal? All right, so that's that one. All right, and now we're going to do one more and we'll shut down the show on this one. And I do like this one a lot, kind of. And this is the one, for example, that I found interesting for my own enlightenment. Okay, so let's look at this one. And so spend some time looking at this. And can somebody tell me what do they see? What do you see? And why do you see what you see? And let's find out what you don't see. All right, no comments? No one? Don't be shy. Give it a try, baby. I'll give you guys 20, 30 seconds. Okay, nobody's talking. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so according to our pawn move method, what is the first thing we should be looking at? Can you tell me? You should be able to answer this. Okay? So this is not about thinking, this is about remembering what the rules are. What's the context? What is it? What makes up the power move method? What makes it up? Three components, what are they? Okay, checks, very good. Okay, let's take a look at this position to see if we have any checks. Do we have any checks in this position? Yes or no? In this position, can white make a move that will give a check? That's the question. And the answer is yes or no. Which one is it? No, my question was, do we have checks? Because that's the first thing we look at. We look at the checks. We look at the strongest musketeer, which is a check. Do we have any? Yes or no? No. Okay. So what's the next level then? If there's no check, we go to level 2. What is level 2? Captures, right? Level 2 is captures. Okay. Do we have captures? Yes or no? Yes, we do. We have captures. We can capture. We can capture. Okay, we can capture. We can capture. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 captures here. We have 4 captures. 4. You see 4? 4. You see him? Can you count 4? We have 4 captures. Is that true or not? Do you agree? Do we have 4 captures? Yes or no? Capture means to take something. Okay, we have 4 captures. Okay, good. All right, now let's look at each one of them. Okay, if I take here, he'll take here. Does this make any sense? Does this make any sense? No, I don't see why it makes sense. I take the knight, he takes back, and we traded a bishop, and now what? What was the point of this? I don't know. Okay. How about queen takes knight? Does that make sense? That's a second capture. Does that make sense? No. If I play queen takes knight, he'll take this way, and then we'll trade another piece. He'll take that way. So we traded. We lost a queen in the transaction, and there's no follow-up. So I can eliminate bishop takes knight and queen takes knight. I can eliminate that. Those are not possibilities. What about bishop takes pawn? What about bishop takes pawn? Okay, king is going to eat. King is going to eat. And what happens there? What happens there? I don't see a follow-up. Do you? Okay, so maybe I can remove this idea. It's a bad one. And the last one is rook takes pawn. Rook takes pawn. Does this make any sense? Rook takes pawn. Does this make any sense? And when the king takes back, excuse me, let me do this. When rook takes g7 and king takes on g7, and we're down a rook, the knight is pinned. The knight cannot move because the bishop is pinning the knight to the king. Okay, and now the question is, can we use this pin to make this work? So basically, we are sacrificing the rook to create a pin. Okay, so we're going to play rook takes g7 and king takes. We're down a rook for a pawn, but we created a pin. Okay, that means that the knight is frozen. Can we create a threat? And the answer is yes. We can create an airplane where the bishop and the queen attacking h7. Can we do that? Will that work? It won't work because the rook is going to come here, right? To hold h7. So let's try something else. Okay, let's look at this again. So if rook takes g7, king takes. Now, what happens if I play queen to g4 check to push the king in the corner? And then I'll set the airplane with the queen and bishop attacking h7, and the king will be on h8, and he can use the rook to come to hold h7. Will that work? Okay, so that's what you have to look into. So it works like this: rook takes g7, king takes, and then we can play check, forcing him in the corner, and now we can set up the airplane. How do you stop the mate? How do you stop this mate? Well, if he moves here, remove the guard, and then we go in, and it's mate. Or we can play rook takes g7, king takes, check to force the king in the corner, and then we can even play, instead of that move, we can also play maybe this move here, queen to h5, and now I'm threatening mate. And the bishop supports the queen. Okay, the knight cannot take the queen because of the pin. Okay, and then when the king moves, I remove the guard and I break in. It's mate. All right, so I found this example really refreshing. Okay, and I learned something about this pattern. Okay, what happened here, we sacrificed the rook to create a pin. Okay, to create a pin, we play check here. Now, this knight is not functional. It does not guard the h7 square. Okay, because it's pinned. And then we can set up a mating pattern. Okay, queen and bishop attacking h7. The attack on h7 is attackers has 2, defenders 1. This is not a defender, it's pinned. Okay, so when the king moves over, the black has 2 defenders, the knight and the king. So the ratio now is white has 1 attacker and the second attacker, and black has 2 defenders. So now remove one of the defenders, and now the ratio is 2, 1, 2 against 1. Okay, and that's it. And he cannot even take back here. He cannot take back because it's mate on the spot. Okay, so he has to now move the rook somewhere to run, but it's too late. It's mate. All right, so let me just take everything back. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Headbanger decided to show up. Oh, dude. Oh, dude. Okay. Did you listen to the thinking method, the process of deductive reasoning, how to put this all together? Like, playing with a machine, taking the parts apart and putting it back together. Okay. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, it's kind of pretty simple. It's pretty simple. You just have to discipline your mind, okay, to think according to a method, okay? And then this method will be superior to anything that you were doing before. And it will give efficiency in terms of time, and it's going to be more accurate, okay? So let me take a quick look what's left here before I shut things down. And let me take a look. Let me take a look. Oh, this is a famous position by Bobby Fischer. Okay, Bobby Fischer. Okay, tell you what, guys. We're going to finish this class today, our show today, with this very fine position by Bobby Fischer. Okay, I think this was played 1967 against who? Let me see. It's a long name, starts with an M, and I think the player for black is from Mongolia. Okay, I can't recall his name right now. Maga something. Anyway, yeah, so here's the position, and this came from a King's Indian attack against the French. Okay, And now let's get familiar with this position a little bit before we look at the details. Before we look at the details. So it seems there's a mismatch. It seems there's a mismatch of attackers versus defenders on the king side. There's a mismatch. Let's take a look at it. So we have one attacker, second attacker, third attacker, fourth and fifth, and potentially sixth. Okay, now who's defending? Well, the queen is defending, the king is defending. Okay, so it looks like maybe two pieces against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 to 2 maybe. Okay, so there must be some kind of breakthrough here. Okay, there must be something happening here. Okay, so the way to find out is to use CCT. CCT, baby. We have to use CCT. That's the way we want to discover what works and doesn't, by using CCT. CCT is the power method. CCT. Okay? Checks, captures, and threats. All right. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. Okay. Headbanger has it right. Okay? So, let's take a look. So, I mean, trading pieces makes no sense because we're down material. Okay, so we have to use force. So where's the check here? Well, there's only one check, sack the queen. Okay, so the first one is the check, and now we have to continue with checking. Here's the second check. It's called a double check. Okay, now if the king goes forward to g6, we bring the bishop in for the mate. Okay, and we use it what? One piece, second piece, third piece, four against one. Okay, 4 attackers, 1 defender. It's a mismatch, favorable mismatch for white. Okay, so if you want to win, one way is to create a favorable mismatch. You have more attackers than he has defenders, and that's how you win. When two sides clash, the side that wins is the side that has more force behind it. Okay, now what else can happen here? After check, CCT, check, and another check. Now if it goes back, let's say to g8, we have a kind of famous pattern: bishop on the long diagonal and open H file. Can I do this? Bishop on the long diagonal and open H file. Typical mate. The two pieces, rook and bishop, converge on H8, and you put a piece on H8 that gives a check, and that's the rook, and it's mate. Okay, and there you go. So this is a very famous game, and you should check into it. And I think it's 1967, Mongolian player, King's Indian versus the French. Anyway, I'm gonna finish here, guys, and let me put here something on end of stream here. Let me see. Let me show you. That's not what I want to show you. Let's do this, and there it is. So, friends, Romans, countrymen, let me your ears. I came here not. Wait a minute. What am I doing? Well, I was doing little Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, baby. But let's not do that. Okay. So I hope this was very useful for you guys. And if you haven't, you're welcome. If you haven't, if you're not following me, then you should, and you should do it because I'm fun and I'm awesome. And last but not least, I think the stream is informative. And by following the stream, I think you can learn a lot, especially if you're not a master. And so I'll share with you how I think. And if you copy my methodology, if you can copy it, then that will improve your game. And what else? And for those that want to support the stream, you can do so by finding PayPal here somewhere here on the site, and do what you do. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys when? I'll see you guys Wednesday. And on Wednesday at 1 p.m., I'll be doing what? I'll be doing chatting and playing. Chatting and playing. So if you're interested in playing me, show up Wednesday, 1 Pacific. Also, last but not least, Punk Z has a group on chess.com. So join the group on chess.com called Punk Z. Punk Monk Z. Okay, so Punk Monk Z, the group, is a way for you to make friends. It's a way to widen your chess experience. We're going to do chess activities like World Chess, like chess matches, like somehow connecting the group to the Twitch stream and maybe playing internal tournaments and things like that. I don't know what else we can do with the group, but if there's anything more we can do, we will do it. Okay? So it's an open door policy, chess.com. Find a group called Punk Monk Z and just join. Okay, there are no qualifications or no requirements for you to join. No qualification to join. You just push the button and you're in. Okay, guys. So thank you for being with me. I'll see you guys later, and see you Wednesday at 1 p.m. All right. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, and ciao, baby. See you later in the elevator. Punk Monk Z out.